recording this so that we can share it with our friends and family after the fact. So welcome to a CNH webinar on In Search of the Emperor Penguins. Thank you for coming here. I don't know how you've heard about it. Perhaps it was on a meetup page, Eventbrite, through a CNH Tours Galapagos newsletter, or from our website, but thank you for coming. Just some logistics that we're going to go through for today. A little bit of the housekeeping, so recorded. I mentioned earlier that we'll be monitoring the chat, so you can put questions in and we'll answer those at the end. Kristine, I'll be hosting the meeting. My name is Kathy and I work with CNH Tours, and we have Kristine Hoyt who will be doing the presentation and showing off the wonderful pictures of Antarctica and the wildlife that we will or potentially could be seeing there. So I just want to make sure that we've got everyone in that wants to be in. Looks like we do. No one's in the waiting room. Okay, great. Any issues to start off? Are we pretty good? I think everyone is seems to be pretty good. Excellent. Okay. So, CNH Tours. So a little bit about CNH Tours, if you haven't heard of them before. It stands for the Cultural, Natural, and Heritage Tours. Been around for about 25 years. They first started off offering tours into the Galapagos, where Heather and Mark worked there for about 4 years. And those two love to travel and love to explore different destinations through over the world. But our team here in this picture, it has Heather and Mark, and then a whole team of people behind the scenes that are working to explore new destinations and help travelers find those unique places in this fabulous world that we have. So lots of, I'm not going to really go to a lot of detail, but we've got a lot of experience work life as well as sort of in our private life of traveling. So the team is really keen and passionate about traveling, and also just knowing what travel can do for people in their experiences and in their life, and how it can be just such a really a life-changing experience to have. So we're happy to help people find that. So today it's going to be myself, Kathy Hasboots, and Kristine giving you some information. I mentioned that they started off, CNH Tours started off with Galapagos travel. So they have a variety of different trips that they offer. Lots of great things, photography specials or small trips. Also, they've branched into some other regions of the world as they've traveled and as other guests have wanted to go to these unique places. So the Okavanga, Pantanal, the Madagascar, Easter Island, whoops, I'm going too fast, Tuscany, and Provence. You can go to our website, and we have lots of group trips planned for these locations. So if you're interested in going to any of those, there are small group trips that are going to those destinations. So what we're going to focus a little bit more on tonight is, again, polar regions. So CNH Tours has been offering trips into the polar regions, so Arctic and Antarctica, for about 5 years now. So we're kind of expanding that a little bit more. So in our Arctic region, we've got, especially in the next coming few years, we've got 3 group trips planned. And for Antarctica, there are, again, 3 trips that are planned that are happening quite soon. And one of them is, of course, the search for the emperor penguin. So that's what you're all here to learn a bit more about. So with that, I'll just give you a little bit of information about myself. So I've just recently joined the CNH Tours team. I live in Victoria, BC, Canada, so probably a different time zone than many of you, I think, or some of you anyway. But I have a lot of experience in the tour coordination, as well as an outdoor outdoor experiences in my work and in my play. I've studied in geography, so I love to travel and explore new places. So I feel I am a true geographer. And that's just a little bit about myself. But this group trip, it's starting November 24th, going to December 5th, 2026. It sounds like a long time away, but it really is going to come up very quick. And we are very fortunate to have Kristine Hoyt going to be the group leader for this trip. So with the 12 people, she will be one of them and will be sort of helping everyone along and making sure this is a fabulous trip. So we are super excited to have Kristine here tonight to do some presentations. So let me introduce Chris to you. So we've met Chris. I've only met her just recently, and you will know by the end of the night, her infectious laugh will just make you want to spend more time with her. But CNH Tours met Chris on some of her other trips with CNH Tours. So she's traveled to the Galapagos. She'll be going to Madagascar, Provence, and many, many, many other trips throughout the world. Kristine is a veterinarian doctor. She had her own practice for a long time, over 20 years. She's now retired, but she does a lot of volunteering in Africa and providing sort of veterinarian services to endangered species, and doing a lot of other advocate work for wildlife and a lot of work in Maine, the USA. So thank you so much, Kristine, for coming here tonight and talking about your experiences in Antarctica. So she has been to Antarctica. And thank you so much. So I'm going to pass this off to Chris, who will be starting her talk. So thank you. Oh.
I would thank you very much, Kathy, for that great introduction. And I really am looking forward to talking to everyone. And a big shout out to my friend coming from the other side of the world, from Australia. That's wonderful.
Oh.
I'm thrilled. One last time I went to Antarctica, I actually went with 100 Aussies, and it was a blast. I hope you come, because I just had such a great time. But anyway, I'd like to start out by answering the pressing question that many of my friends have, which is, why do you want to go back there? You've been there. And the answer to that is on this slide that hopefully all of you can see. We have the 8 species of penguins that can be found in this region of the world. And on this page, I have seen and had the pleasure and the joy of watching every single one except the emperor penguin. And so I just could not go through life without going back and experiencing the biggest and the bravest of them all. I want to preface this by saying that this is a true expedition adventure. Unlike a trip to the Galapagos, where you're sure to see iguanas and boobies, there is no guarantee of seeing the emperor penguins. That's why it's called In Search Of. That being said, the last 3 seasons, this company has had 100% success rate in seeing the emperors. And it's also notable to mention that we will be the second trip of the season. So hopefully all the kinks have been worked out in the first trip, and they actually do know where the emperors are, or at least they know where not to look. And so I think we have a very good chance of continuing luck. In November, the seas are often a little rougher than in the middle of summer. And cruise ships, though, find their way into great little secluded bays where adverse weather conditions are less of a problem. So rest assured that the ships are built to handle this kind of weather. Our ship, the Artelius, as you can see here, has the best, highest ice notation there, a 1A or A1. There's lots of open deck space. There are comfortable hotel rooms inside, plenty of heat. There are 2 restaurants, a bar, a lecture hall. And the primary objective of this boat is to have wildlife viewing. There are only 108 passengers, which gives us a lot of ample exposure to the specialist on board and gives us more of an opportunity to really get to see everything. There are 24 experienced seamen, 20 hotel crew, and 8 expedition specialists, and we do have certified physician on board. So that's the compilation of what we've got. I would say that people often ask me what the temperature is going to be at this time of year. How cold are you going to be? It'll really be about 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit for most of the time, up and down a little bit. So it's not, minus 20, although you could tell your friends that if you want to sound really brave. And snow covers much of the landscape in November. And you get these amazing photographic opportunities. The icebergs provide moving art, and you're going to see a shade of blue that you've never seen before. It's just spectacular. And on these clear days, we get these long sunsets, where around here, your sunset may only last a few minutes. Got to take that picture fast. I have about 57 pictures that look just like this because sunsets can last as long as 4 hours. So it's the best time for photography, even if you're an amateur. And this is to remind me that it's also the best time of year if you want to go snowshoeing. You just have to watch out for the little guy on the right there, that you don't get in his way. Now, although the emperors require some searching and we don't have 100% guarantee, I will tell you that we are sure to see penguin antics. The Adelies, the Gentoos, and the chin straps, all visualized here, are doing their nest building and stealing each other's rocks and giving us a great show. Some of that screeching that Kathy didn't want to play, that's the chin strap. That is the loudest penguin on earth. I needed to get a pair of earplugs to be around the colony of chin straps. But you will get to see these penguins. You will get to enjoy them. They're a guarantee. And, that's just a wonderful thing. November in Antarctica is also when you're going to see the Weddell and the fur seals doing their mating behavior, and of course, doing what they do best, lie on ice, sleep. They're also the time when the elephant seals are practicing those impressive neck slappings and the nose blowings, and they can make quite a ruckus, and they're really entertaining to watch. So that's a little bit about what you're for sure going to see, but let's kind of into the details of the trip. For most of you, you're going to come through Buenos Aires. This is not included as part of the itinerary. You can find your way to the end of South America any way you'd like, but most of us are going to go through Buenos Aires. And as your concierge, I'm going to be more than happy to share with you great things to do in the city, tours, ways to get around. I plan on spending a few days here, resting up a bit before I make the last leg of the journey. So that's one of the benefits of coming with us, as you've got someone like me to kind of guide you a little bit if you want a little bonus before or after. The next step here then is to fly from Buenos Aires, if you look at the upper left-hand map there, to Ushuaia, the city at the end of the world. And you do feel like you're at the end of the world. But if you take a look behind the city there, it has the most spectacular views. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place. A quirky little city, but it has lovely things. The hotel that we'll be staying at on our first day is pictured there on the left-hand side. You can see the top. There's got great 360-degree views. The rooms are comfortable. And this gives you an opportunity to kind of land and regroup before we get on the ship. One extra little bonus thing here is that you will be arriving the day before the ship leaves, and that way, if there's any complications, any delays with flights, et cetera, you have that buffer. So you're sure to make the trip. Even if you don't make it to the hotel, you will get to enjoy the getting on the trip on the ship in a timely fashion. In the town of Ushuaia, you also can pick up any kind of Antarctic bound gear that you might need. For those of you coming from a warmer climate and don't still have your waterproof heavy jackets and mittens and backpacks and such, you can pick everything up there and rent it and then return at the end of the trip. This picture I took from a hike I took right from my hotel room right up into, and I made it up to the glaciers up there. Wonderful hiking. Terra del Fuego is right there in Ushuaia. And again, if you guys want to arrive a day or two early, it's a beautiful place to explore the natural wonders of the land there. And then finally, last but not least, there is a world destination restaurant where people actually fly here just to go to dinner and then fly home. And this restaurant is amazing. I suspect that we're probably going to make a group reservation there for the night before we all depart. And it's a little bonus for those who want to come in. And so the thing I want to say is that the next morning you're going to be taken from the hotel to the ship. And I should have mentioned, I apologize, you will be picked up at the airport in Ushuaia and taken to the hotel. So you're going to be taken care of. I'll be there to greet you, get you there. And then the next day we'll be comfortably getting to the ship. In fact, it'll be in the afternoon, and so you'll have some morning to do some exploring of the city. Well, let's take a little bit of a detail of what the ship's going to look like when you get on. This will be your reception area. Looks like you're getting right into a hotel. This is one of the lounges. Another view of the lounge. We have 2 restaurants on board and a cafeteria. So there's lots of comfortable places. Going to go down the hall and to your room. Now, this is not a fancy estate room, but you're not going to be in this room except to sleep and to use the bathroom. Basically, this is, a ship that you want to be out on deck. You want to be watching for whales and seeing all the beautiful scenery as things go by. So I think you'll find that this room will be very comfortable and going to have a good night's sleep and then get back out again the next morning. When you first get on the ship, I don't recommend that you unpack, but rather you go out on deck. These are a couple of pictures I took as we're going through the Beagle Channel as we leave Ushuaia, headed out to the Antarctica. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful, beautiful part of scenery to experience. And then, of course, we get one of those beautiful sunsets as we head into the Drake Passage. So this is where we're headed down from here to Ushuaia, and we're coming right across that wonderful Drake Passage down into the Antarctica Peninsula and into the Weddell Sea. So I'm going to talk about the dreaded Drake Passage. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. And if not, let me say that many tales say that it is like the picture on the right, but I took that picture on the left. When I went across it, it was literally like being in a bathtub. And so you don't know what you're going to get. You prepare for everything. And I want to take a moment at this point to say, I highly, highly encourage everyone to talk to a medical professional about what's going to work best for them to alleviate any signs of seasickness. I used to own a boat. I grew up on boats. I sailed my entire life, and I still took medication just to be on the safe side. And there are many people like me who did not and regretted not doing something about it ahead of time. There is a doctor on board who will help you if you have a problem, but it's best to talk to your own personal doctor and bring what you feel is going to be safest and best for you. So I'm happy to, again, give you some guidance in this area, but I didn't have any pride about not getting sick, and I enjoyed every single one of my dinners. While we're sailing the 2 days across the Drake Passage, we're going to have a really nice opportunity to attend a number of lectures. We have 7 specialists on board talking about wildlife and nature, and you will be well prepared for some of the visions that you're going to see. This is where I'm going to be most of the time. It's the bridge, i.e. where the captain is, where the navigators are. It's very warm, it's cozy, got great visualization, and it's available to us on the ship during most times. And it's a great place to be watching for whales. I'm going to copy this and have it a copy it for everybody. It's terrific for spotting the whales in the distance and knowing what you're looking at. And then you might have the pleasure of this, which I got to see on my last trip. Absolutely spectacular humpbacks. There's orcas to be found. And then there's the great wandering albatross, which is a really majestic bird. And if you're not a birder, it's still amazing to watch this bird. So I hope that all of you will join me up on the bridge and enjoy this lovely passing through the Drake Passage. I also like to have a little contest. On a piece of paper, you can write down when you think the first iceberg will be spotted. And the winner of this contest gets to have bragging rights for the whole rest of the trip. Plus, they get all of my chocolate desserts because I'm allergic to chocolate. So you get those. So down we come. After 2 days at sea, we pass through the Shetland Islands and we come around the Antarctic Sound and into the Weddell Sea. And now the search begins. This is when we hope in the next 4.5 days that we're going to find the emperor penguins. And if they've already been found, then we'll go to where they are and try to get on. We've got a couple of helicopters on board. We've got a number of Zodiacs. A lot of the reconnaissance work will be done by the specialized staff, but we get to do a little searching as well. And since you saw helicopters, I'm going to play a little movie here of what we hope will happen. Okay. So since we saw the helicopter, I'm going to face the little devil and talk about the helicopter because I suspect that most of you are a little bit like me and that I'm always a little anxious about helicopters. But I want to reassure you that every year these copters are inspected and approved. They are registered with Lloyd's. There is an extensive education process that we have to go through while we're on board. There's mandatory briefings. We have a manual provided to us, and we'll have a dry run before we actually go anywhere. So we cannot guarantee that we can use the helicopters because safety is the #1 priority. And we may not get to go on a helicopter if it's not safe to do so. Or we might take off and fly for 5 minutes and turn around and come back down because someone said not safe. So I feel, and I hope you'll feel real assured that as much safety as possible will be observed during this process. That being said, this is where the emperors have been found the last few seasons. And as you can see from the level of where our ship will be and where the penguins are, a helicopter is probably the best way to get up there. And I also want to make it really clear that when we use the helicopters, we're landing about 45 minutes away from the colony. So you will need to be walking about 45 minutes from where we land to where we'll get to see the colony itself. And that's for the safety of the animals and for not disturbing any of those animals. We rely again on the previous trip, and hopefully they found the emperors here, and if not, we'll be going somewhere else to look for them. It's all weather dependent, and that's why we can't guarantee it. But my mom and dad said I was born under a lucky tree, so hopefully we'll have the luck again. There are a number of other islands in this area that we could visit. If we have an experience here, when we have more time, we'll go to a number of those, or maybe looking at other places. If you go to the website, we have a long list of all the different places and details, and I'm just going to hit on a couple of them at this point that I'm most excited about seeing. Browns Bluff is a really scenic place. Some people think it is the most scenic place in the area. And they've got these sheer canyon walls, a large colony of Adelie penguins can be visited. There's also some gentoos and some sea lions, and you can land here with the Zodiac, so it's a little easier access. There's also a year-round base, a scientific research station that belongs to Argentina, and they also have another great colony of Adelie penguins who live in sympathy with humans there, and that's another exciting place that we potentially be going. Deuce Bay is a very unusual place, and they have this incredible lichen show that is presented, and there's also a number of penguins. Again, this penguin is doing my Beatles impersonation, reminding me of Abbey Road. So after about 4.5 days exploring down and around in the Weddell Sea here, we do need to start heading back, and we come around the Antarctic Sound and come up and through, and we come to my favorite place in all of Antarctica, and that is Deception Island. This place is absolutely one of the most spectacular experiences I've ever had. We'll hopefully have good enough weather to come and walk around the beach. We'll be able to hike up to Neptune's Eye. And I don't want to say too much more about it because I don't want to ruin the surprises that are there on the beach for you. I just love experiencing this amazing landscape. So now we're going to turn around and head back through the Drake Passage. And by now you guys are all experts at spotting all the different species of whale, seabirds. We'll have some more lectures. It's a great time to connect with other travelers, turn our tails and say goodbye to this beautiful region, and hopefully have some great stories to tell upon your return to Ushuaia. After 2 days returning through the Drake Passage, you'll be taken to the airport and have your return trip flight home. So that's almost all. I have one last video that I'd like to share with you all. This is how I'm hoping the trip will go. Great. And before I take questions, I want to make one thing really clear. The other side of the peninsula of Antarctica is getting to be really crowded. There's a lot of ships over there, a lot of traffic, and we are going around the inside into the Weddell Sea, and there will probably only be ourselves and one other ship in that area. So it's a unique opportunity to have the place almost to ourselves. So I am excited about inviting you all to come with me, and I'm happy to receive any questions.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. So it's for 12 people, it sounds like, but the ship holds 108. Is it, so other outfits are making up the rest of the people that'll be on the ship?
That is correct. That is
Okay.
correct. We don't have 108 berths for just 12 people. Yes, that's
Sure.
correct.
I presume.
And again, if we fill up with those 12 people, we'll see if we can buy some more berths so that
Awesome.
more people can go. Yeah, yeah. But
Um,
because we offer 2 other trips to Antarctica, we didn't want to overbook this one. It's the first time offering it. We'll see how it goes. And there are upgraded rooms potentially available as well if people want suites and things like that. There's everything on the ship from bunk beds for 4 people to the luxury suite. And so we went to just one step below that to the nice 2-person in the room with a window. There's also, portholes, but everybody gets a window in their room, or 2 windows, I should say.
Okay. May I ask another? I noticed snow showing in the one
Yes.
slide. Are trekking poles provided with the snowshoes, or you bring your own?
That is a good question. I was told, and we can check that you need to bring your own poles. And if you don't own those, you can get them in Ushuaia and rent them relatively inexpensively. I brought my own poles, and I could have sold them for a lot of money. There's a lot of people who were quite jealous that I had poles. They really help a lot. They do provide boots for you, but the poles really make a big difference, I find. So we'll encourage people when I'm going to go through those people who registered to come on this trip. I am going to give you more information than you possibly want to know, right up to where you can buy, what brand you want, what works the best, what my experience has been with that.
Okay.
Um,
That's it for me. Thanks.
Sure, no
I
problem.
had a question. On the helicopter, there's only so many people that can be on the helicopter. And
Correct.
if there are 100 and something people, I guess, is it by lottery? Who gets on the first
Everybody gets to
helicopter?
go. Yep, everybody gets to go who wants to go. Yep,
But I
if
mean the
it's safe to go.
timing. Yeah, the timing. So if your group might go last, then everybody else is there before. I mean, how do they figure out who goes when? I'm just curious on the timing.
I do not know how it's decided. I suspect that it's some kind of a lottery system as to who
I see.
goes first. But when they decide that they're going to make a helicopter trip, they're looking at the weather forecast for the next 4 hours so that they have safely amount of time to get everybody on and everybody off.
Mhm.
So it's 8 at a time, 4 on each other helicopter that get to go over to the landing site. And then those people who get the first ones on will be the first ones off, so that everybody has an equal amount of time.
Got
And
it.
speaking to the people who have been able to do this, they felt not rushed, that they had ample experience and ample time to experience what they wanted to.
And I've seen I think it's the king penguin that looks very similar, right?
Correct.
And I've seen the king penguin, but how would you, other than the slight increase in size, is the behavior really different, or is there something real special if I've seen a king penguin versus
Yeah.
yeah.
So I haven't seen the emperor penguin. I'm making that real clear, but from my understanding, and from my observations of the other 7 species that I have seen, every single one has very different personalities and very different behaviors. So I imagine that the emperors will be the same. And speaking to my colleagues who have had the opportunity to see the emperors,
Mhm.
they said that the chicks in particular are really entertaining. They are just characters, and that's
Great.
what I'm excited about, and that's why we're going in November, because we want to see the
Mm,
chicks. We want
mm,
to be in the middle of that colony, as you saw. I love that one picture of
yeah.
the baby chick flapping its wings. Everybody I've talked to that's been on the trip has said that they really had a thrill. And
Okay.
most of them had been before to the Antarctica and as you
Wow.
said, seen the kings. So I'm going
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question. Will you be able to advise the photography settings. I just want to make sure when I get there, I think I shoot quite a bit of wildlife, but just in case there is somebody to say, oh yeah, you should open the f-stop to here and speed
Yeah,
should be this and
yeah. I do not profess to be a camera specialist, although I've got many of the shots that you saw in this presentation, I took myself.
great.
And so I'm certainly happy to help. Every time I've gone, there has been a camera specialist on board.
Oh,
So
great.
we
Okay.
can check and see. It will be a good homework job for us to make sure that's true. But I always felt that I had access, and I've learned a lot. You know, there, and I think they'll probably do the same. There was a whole lecture as we're crossing the Drake on camera tips
Oh,
and
great. Okay.
how to use that. But I'll need to get a clarification that that's true. I'm happy to share what little I've learned. But you know, this is not a photography trip per se, but their
Right.
focus is wildlife, and therefore
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine
Yeah.
that they also would have that. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Oh, how about
Hi,
Karen?
Karen.
Yeah.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, thank you. Like Kristine, I've made my goal to see all the different species of penguins that there are in the world, and I'm
Yes.
there. I'm pretty close, not there yet. I'm doing a trip to the Falklands and South Georgia because when I went to the Antarctic 20 years ago, they weren't stopping there. So I haven't seen the
Yes.
king penguins yet. So, you know, that's going to cross off a couple of those. And because I've seen, again, a lot of Adele and Gentoo and the chin straps, my main interest would be the emperor. I understand you can't guarantee, but will we try to spend our 4 days trying to find them as opposed
Correct.
to than just saying, oh, because I've been to Brown Bluffs and Deception Island and, you know, and seen the different and they're wonderful. I mean, but
Yes.
I really would like to spend the majority of my time trying to see the emperor.
Right. We have about 4.5 days in the Weddell Sea, and they're going to be searching for that. Those other places are a kind of a bonus if we
Okay.
if we get to see the emperors and have that experience, then they'll take us to these other places. And you know, we don't know for sure where the emperors will be. They have been in some of those other places other than Snow Hill in previous years. The last 3 years they've been in on Snow Hill ice. So hopefully they'll be there. But we have those options. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you know,
Okay,
it's a bit of a gamble, but I'm a lucky person. So
yeah. Okay,
I'm
good.
hoping
Well,
my
maybe
luck
I'll
holds
need to
out.
talk to you. Because then,
you know,
if we know the emperors are there,
right. That's
but
why I'm going on the second
whether it
expedition.
prohibits us from doing it one day, will we hang around to try to do it the next day then?
That is correct. That is
Okay.
my
Thank
understanding.
you.
And Kathy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I asked exactly that question. And there is one other ship that goes to that area. It holds more people. It doesn't have as its primary goal doing the emperor penguins. So that's our focus.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
While we're here, I have not looked it up online. Approximate price range. Are we
Approximate
talking
price range is
25,000?
15,980 US per person, shared accommodation. And that
Okay.
includes 1 night in Ushuaia, and then the trip.
All right, gives me a guesstimate
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Thank
right.
you.
And I don't know if any of you have looked at the range of prices. You can pay as little as $12,000. You will be in a room with 3 other people. And you can pay up to $60,000. So this is not a trip where you're going to have a spa. We don't have facials on board, and we don't have hot tubs and the like. So it's really an expedition ship. It's you know, with only 11 days that we'll be roughing it. But you'll be nice and warm and cozy and comfy, and hopefully you'll join me on the bridge where we'll have the most amazing views.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome, Karen. Thank you for coming.
Hello, it's Anne. I have two questions.
Hi, Anne.
Hi. What's included in the price? Are meals included? And my other question has to do with the wildlife and the presence of people next to them, especially if as they're raising chicks or laying eggs. Like, what is the impact of our presence there? And has anyone actually like studied that? And are there any restrictions? And I'm not thinking of them negatively, but things that we need to do to keep a distance and not impact them negatively.
Yeah. Do you want to answer the first half, Kathy, and I'll shoot for the second half?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So thank you, Anne. So you had questions about, are the meals included? So of course, when you're on the ship, all the meals will be included. There's usually sort of a coffee and tea and a snack bar that's kind of open all the time. I believe the lounge, your drinks are, not included. So for the most part, that's all pretty much all included. So this trip also, as Kristine was talking, so if for some reason we can't get a flight, say it's too cloudy or they can't do a landing, they will do sightseeing helicopter rides. So if for some reason the landing isn't possible, they'll take you on sightseeing. And then if that doesn't happen, then you'll also be doing Zodiac rides. So as they will dock in to the ice, you'll be looking for other things in that window in the Weddell Sea.
It's also
Wildlife,
breakfast included. Okay, I'm sorry. There's
Yeah,
breakfast included that
yeah,
morning.
breakfast, lunch,
way.
dinner, all the meals. Yeah. And in terms of wildlife, I can just, Kristine, I know you'll fill in after this, but definitely for restrictions for getting close to the animals. So the Antarctica has, so there's a treaty negotiation, not negotiation, but there's treaties, and the tour operators all conduct themselves with these sort of restrictions. So there's biosecurity. So every time that you come back on the boat, your boots have to be cleaned. They'll probably ask you to clean your other clothing, like your coat that you brought from home, to make sure there's no seeds in it. So biosecurity is a really big deal, respecting wildlife, because most people that are going to go this far in the world to see animals love them. And we do not want to disrupt their natural life cycle. So Kristine mentioned helicopters touch down 45 minutes away, so sound, human interaction. Of course, there's no feeding of all that kind of thing. So, but they go over that on the ship. That's probably, one of the lectures that they give is sort of conduct while we're around the wildlife, for sure. So,
If
yeah.
you remember that picture that I had of the snowshoeing person and the penguin on the ground there was some orange poles sitting up there. So our naturalist guides will be putting up poles to where we can go and where we cannot go, so that we're not disturbing them. Definitely, we're close enough to easily photograph them with just your iPhone. A number of those pictures were taken with iPhones. And I found that many times they came right up to you. I mean, one time I was just sitting there and this penguin just walked right up to me and was like looking at me, checking me out, like, what are you doing? What are you here for? And that's okay. To answer your question about whether or not any studies have been done, not to the best of my knowledge, no. I don't believe that anybody has made those studies, but there's such strict rules, and we're going in an area literally where there's just 2 boats that go, and we're only there for a few days. So the amount of time that's actually with potential human exposure is on one hand, essentially.
Yeah, I was just wondering about like getting that close to them when they're nesting. Would they fledge, or I know they don't really fly, but
Yeah. Yeah.
would the
I've not heard of any difficulties in that area, and I've got some real strong pro-animal people in my life, and nobody said to me, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You know, I think they have pretty strict rules about where we can be.
Okay.
So I'm just going to pop in there. Kristine, there was a question just while we're talking about sort of a life cycle of the emperor penguins of
Yeah.
when they lay their eggs and when they hatch. So
Right.
I'm sure you probably have.
So we're going to be coming when the chicks are all hatched and they're out and they've not quite fledged yet. So we're talking about July, August time, when those things are happening. And oh my goodness, you know, we're talking about minus 40 degrees and 50-mile-an-hour winds, and that's not when we're going to be going. So you will not be seeing chicks, egg laying, nesting behavior, that kind of thing. We're going to be seeing adults coming back, feeding older young, and some potential fledging happening, some molting to get the adult wings. You have to balance that out with what we've got for weather. There's just no way we would ever get to see any of that with the kind of approach that we're making here with the helicopters and such.
Okay. So a couple other, is there any other questions for the people that are still online here, or else I'll go to the chat? So another question that we had, sort of a little bit more about logistics. So one person had asked, is the airfare from Buenos Aires included in the trip? So no, it is not. So it's up to you to sort of plan how you get from your home place in the world and down to Ushuaia. Another question was, does CNH help with that? So we can definitely send us an email. We can help guide you in, maybe selecting the right flight. It's just tricky we can't really offer it when everyone comes from different locations. So we can let you know. The reason that we chose to book a night in Ushuaia before the cruise was because when you get to these smaller airlines, domestic airlines in Argentina, they run into sometimes there's some little bit of keeping it on time. So we don't want to leave it the last day to get on your cruise. You don't want to arrive in town that day. So coming a day early or even a few days early is something to think about if you have the time to do that. Okay. Another question. We've answered that. I'll get back to that one. The ship's class. So someone was asking about, Nancy was asking if the ship's class mean it's an icebreaker. So yes, because it is going into the Weddell Sea, it does need to go in through the ice, or at least be against ice for sure. So yes, it is an ice class ship. Another question was about the rooms. So the rooms that we showed were twin beds. So that is what we booked. But if you prefer to have an upper room with like a double bed, we can look into that in terms of its availability. But the ship does have those. And then this other one from Dana. So this is a good point. So if there's a 45-minute walk each way to the penguins, how much time do we actually get with the penguins, especially knowing that the helicopter has to shuttle 108 people? So that's a good point. I'll just kind of give my 2 cents, and then Kristine, I'll pass off to you. So I think, the days are long there. That doesn't get very dark too soon. So I imagine you're going out with one flight, like they're going to make sure you've got time with the penguins. Yeah, I don't know. Kristine, do you have any kind of thought?
Again, I haven't done this, but I talked to a number of people who have, and that was exactly one of my questions. Like, am I going to get 45 minutes there and then have to turn around and go back? As long as the weather holds, you will have hours and hours there. Everybody that I talked to in who've gone the last 3 years have said they've been there for a few hours, and they felt like it was time to go. They were starting to get chilly, or they were okay to leave when they did. So granted, if, you know, all of a sudden something kicks up and we have to leave sooner, that can happen. You know, we are at the whim of the weather. But from what I've seen before, they have got some pretty serious weathermen in this part of the world. I mean,
Hmm.
really impressive weather knowledge. I mean, I wish we had that good weather forecasting where I live. So I feel pretty comfortable that when they say it's a go, I think that, you know, if you've got beautiful blue skies, but in 2 hours it's supposed to be rotten weather, they're not going to go. They're not going to waste, you know, helicopter time to land you and then turn you right around and bring you back. So I think they leave you as long as you can. You know, it doesn't get darker until 11 o'clock at night. So
Mhm.
you got plenty of time.
Great. Okay, so we got a few more questions, and it's 8 more minutes to go, so we don't want to hold you too long. So avian flu.
Yeah.
It
Good
is,
question.
yeah, it is in the
Yeah.
peninsula.
So when I was there in January of last year, avian flu was really striking very badly. I saw dead birds, dead seals. In fact, you know, a number of the places had closed down. It really kind of ran through the Antarctic last year. And speaking to my friends who've gone this year, you know, 2025, they said that although 90% of the elephant seal pups were killed last year, there seems to be a major rebound this year. And so they're coming back. So, you know, we don't know what will happen with the avian flu, but it appears that the birds and the seals are making a comeback this year. So we hope that, you know, they have made it through.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know just on that note that there are a lot of just like we had with our COVID, there's lots of sort of restrictions that the tour operators
Right.
had to do around avian flu. Like
Right.
they would scout it out first. If there was any sign of it, they wouldn't stop there. So
Right.
there's
When
a
I was
whole
first there was when they didn't even know that avian flu was there.
right.
And there were 4 of us veterinarians on the ship, and we all offered to do autopsies to prove it, and they wouldn't let us near it. You know, they said, no, it's unsafe. We were disappointed because we thought we could break the news to the world that this was avian flu. But
Oh,
yeah, we had to wait 4 months before the official report came out that yes, all these animals were dying of avian flu. Yeah.
oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
sad. Okay, another question. So cross the Antarctic Circle. So not on this trip, unfortunately, that's a little bit further. We do actually, CNH Tours currently does have a trip that is going though, just in the February of 2026. So just kind of in the year before this one. And there's only 2 cabins left. So if you're interested in the Antarctic Circle, check that one out. Another question was about a solo traveler. So yes, I think we can do solo travel. So Denise, this is sort of something to, if you have other friends or not, or other people that want or thinking of going on a trip, not necessarily this one. How it works is that we will try to, and if you're willing to share, so there's sort of 2 ways. You can go as a solo traveler and pay sort of the solo price, which is kind of like 1.5, and you'll have a private room to yourself. Or if you're solo and you'd like to share a room with the same gender person, then we put you 2 together and you get that per person price for a shared room. So what we like to do is try and pair you up, and maybe you get to meet each other via email or a Zoom, and hopefully it works out, and then we can put people together. So, but yes, we do try to help solo travelers. Okay, another good question. What if you've never snowshoed before? Should we practice before the trip? So yeah, I wouldn't say you would need to practice. I'm gonna look into the whole snowshoeing and the walking poles kind of thing, just to make sure if they do recommend that you need to do any kind of, you know, I think definitely having poles walking on snow and ice is a good idea. And what they say, snowshoes just walk like a penguin, right? Just kind of
Yes,
your feet
exactly.
wide.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I did not wear snowshoes on my last trip. They weren't offered on my trip. But the boots that I had great traction, and that combined with the snow poles worked great. So I think that if you love snowshoeing and you're happy with it, then plan to do that. And if you're not experienced with it, you can actually learn and go really quickly without a lot of training. You give me 10 minutes and I'll have you going. So you don't need any lessons ahead of time if you want to learn to do it. This would be a beautiful place to make your first snowshoe. Yeah. There's no trees in the way to fall into or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just have to watch out for little guys with the big flappy wings.
Okay, great. Were there any other questions or anything? I'm not seeing any in the chat, but I'll just give people a few minutes if that's what they'd like to do. I'm also going to, oops, that's not the screen I want to share. Hang on a sec. Anyway, we do have lots of information on our website. So lots of information about this trip in particular, how to do some bookings, lots of frequently asked questions for Antarctica trips. So if you're just thinking about some things, there might be answers there for you. And if not, just shoot us an email and we do our best to help you out. Do we want to give an overview of the other trips? So in terms of the other
I think they meant the
Antarctica
Antarctic
trips, I'm
trip.
assuming. Okay, yeah. So we have the Antarctic Circle. So sorry, I didn't actually.
I'm not going on the other ones.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
So if you want to avoid me, take one of those.
Right. Let me just. So I want to. This is what I want to share. Share. Okay, so can you see, it looks like you're seeing my screen here.
Yes.
So this is our Antarctica Circle trip. So leaving 21st of February, coming back on the 5th of March of next year. And so this one, I'm just going to scroll. So close your eyes if you don't like this. I was just going to show a map. So the map here, you can sort of see we're again going to leave from Ushuaia and doing the Drake Passage, but then we're going to stay on the west side of that peninsula, Antarctic Peninsula, and just go across the circle, do a little celebratory thing, and kind of head our way back up. The other trip that we haven't quite, we're just actually putting it all together, and it's going to be the Falkland Islands, South Georgia, and then the peninsula. So we're calling it kind of the Grand Tour or Antarctica Complete, kind of hitting those three major spots. So that will be like a 19 to 21 day trip, much longer. So that'll be up on our website pretty soon too. So you can find all that information. Sorry to scroll. So this is the CNH Tours website, Arctic Antarctica. We've got some overview information here about Antarctica. The FAQs are here as well. So we've kind of split them, Antarctica, so lots of different things, accommodations, amenities. Of course, every ship is different. Every trip, an excursion, expedition is different too, of what they offer in terms of activities and everything. So it can be overwhelming, but that's why we're here. So we're here to help. Yeah, so I didn't really want to go too much into it.
Yeah, this one was unique in that, someone like me is coming along on the trip with you. So you can, have my 2 cents worth on, what to wear in a given day. What do you do about something that's lost? I tend to bring an extra of something of everything. So if you don't have something, I'll try to track it down for you. You're going to basically have your own private concierge to help you during this process, because it can be a little bit daunting if you've never been on a really high adventure thing like this. But I'm there to hold your hand and to give you guidance and point out whales and talk about behavior and that kind of fun stuff. So, and mostly just to laugh with you. Have a good time. Bring my good luck.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Well, I think that was really great. Thank you so much, Kristine,
You're very
for
welcome.
sharing your wonderful experiences of your other travels in Antarctica. And thank you, everyone, for showing up. That was wonderful. We will be sending out the recording to you. You can look at it again or share it with your friends and family. And yeah, hopefully we can get a nice group of people to go together and see that wonderful white
I hope
seventh
the lady
continent.
from Australia comes.
Fantastic. Okay. All right.
Thanks for
Thanks so
joining
much,
us.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Kristine.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
My
we'll
pleasure,
talk
my
soon.
dear.
Okay.
Okay, will
Okay.
do. Take
All right.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in.